Hi, and welcome to having a look and exploring how you can actually change, or should I say, move your style of management, should I say, towards becoming a leader and a coach. And the reason that we need to change the way that we lead people, or should I say specifically salespeople, is there's been a massive shift in the sales landscape. I mean, for example, we've got a much more informed customer. Customers they've done their research on the internet before salespeople even arrive. So, the good old days where salespeople would arrive and they would be the bearer of news and be able to share stuff. And in fact, what that was very often people wanted to see salespeople because of the knowledge that they brought. So that's changed the landscape. The next thing that's changed is we can no longer use spray and pray strategies. I mean, spray and pray strategies is to sit in your market and believe that there's 7.2 billion customers out there, and as long as we spray our message out there, it's going to stick with somebody. Well, that's really archaic and old-fashioned. I mean, we've now got to change and look far more towards selective selling, where we have a look and we know exactly what we sell, who needs it, and then the next thing we got to do is where do we find those people? Then cold calling is just so archaic and outdated. We need to target specific customers. I call them our Magnificent 50. We target those 50 customers and we put all of our energy into creating a multi-channel communication strategy so that we can communicate with those people. They can learn to see what value we bring, and then gradually over time we should I say reel those customers in and really show them the value that we can deliver. The decisions are obviously not just made by one person any longer. I mean, in the past, if you got to see the CEO, you were pretty sure that you would get a decision. Well, nowadays, not even CEOs make decisions any longer, specifically in the B2B space. So we need to be very focused and understand that we've got to work at communicating not just with one person, but we've got to use our multi-channel communication strategy to effectively communicate the value that we add so that everybody gets to see what we can actually deliver. Well, one of the things that's really adding some interesting challenges in the workplace is millennials. They make decisions differently. They think differently. And if you don't think that's going to affect you, on the 1st of March 2017, which is like a year ago, we realized that millennial spending power actually exceeded that of baby boomers. So this is only going to get worse and worse over time, or should I rather say become exacerbated over time, because what's going to happen is baby boomers are dying out and millennials are becoming the force to be reckoned with. So we really need to look and explore and understand, how do we need to communicate? How do we need to effectively connect with millennials? Because they think differently, they operate differently. Well, as you can imagine, I mean, as you've obviously seen, the sales environment has dramatically changed over the past 3 years. In fact, if we go back to the 50s, our grandfathers could keep doing business the way they did it for like 65 years. Well, that isn't the case anymore. That same business cycle has now reduced, and it's sitting at around, they say 10 months at the moment, and by 2020, which is not too far off, that number is going to be sitting around 5-6 months. So the question you really want to be asking yourself is if you're still doing business the way you were 10 months ago, you may be approaching your customers, your markets incorrectly. And this, if we go back 10 years, has even been a greater shift. And one of the greatest contributors towards that seismic shift that we've seen in the last 10 years has obviously been technology. There's all sorts of new things coming on board now, like artificial intelligence, the technological approach of people moving away from retail towards online purchases, etc. So there's been a seismic shift in the way people do business. So if you're still approaching your markets the way you were 10 years ago, you're most certainly doing things incorrectly. Well, let's have a look and let's explore quickly and just have a look and see, what is it that sales managers do versus sales leaders? Now, as far as I'm concerned, one of the greatest or most important roles that a sales leader plays is one of a sales coach. In other words, they act as a very supportive backing to their sales team rather than sort of having a weekly inquisition where they're going to go and inquire and ask crazy questions like, what have you done to achieve your sales? They're rather going to say, what can we do to help you, to support you, to encourage you, to show you what you need to do so that you can actually achieve your sales targets. So if we have a look at sales managers, they view their targets as a whole. So in other words, it's a case of what have you done, where are the results, and kind of deliver. Versus sales leaders support their team. In other words, they act as a sales coach and they break them back into individual projects. Sales managers, on the other hand, focus their efforts on one major outcome. So in other words, it's again leads to that weekly inquisition or monthly inquisition where they're saying what's happening with your targets, rather than one where they coach and supports their sales team to achieve milestones. So in other words, when you help your sales team to break their sales targets back into projects, what you're effectively doing is sort of just simply answering the question, how do you eat the elephant? Well, one bite at a time. So when you're demanding of your sales team and you throw a huge sales quota at them and you say, well, deliver, what you're doing is you're putting your team under pressure. Versus a true sales leader, what they do is they support their team to break it back into real, meaningful sales projects. Those sales projects are specific leads that filter into their sales pipeline and ultimately are supported to be moved through the sales funnel, which we'll speak about in a moment. Is the sales funnel is literally taking those leads and performing specific activities, daily sales activities, that is going to help to increase the velocity, in other words, the speed that you're able to move each specific lead or specific future customer. Remember, I don't like to call them prospects, because that kind of doesn't really bode well. But when you speak to the term future customer, it kind of already shows you, well, this is a targeted customer that needs exactly what I have to sell, and therefore, how long can I keep prospecting them? Well, either they die or I die, but that's because they are such targeted prospects. Again, let's have a look at sales managers. Sales managers plan, or sales plan is mapped up front. Well, how crazy is that? Things change. Like I said, we're living in a world now where the sales cycle, or should I rather say the business cycle, is all the way down to 10 months. Now, if you've got a sales plan mapped out up front and you're going to stick to that sales plan no matter what, well, things are dynamic, things are changing. We need to understand that if we really want to achieve, we need to be a sales leader where we look at individual projects which are supported according to their unique needs. And when we say unique needs, what we're really saying is potential changing needs. So we need to focus on individual projects. We need to support our individual sales team members to have a look at the dynamics that are going on in the market. What is changing? How are customers' needs changing? How are their expectations changing? In fact, how are their markets changed, and how will the supply of our products affect those changes? So we need to be continually taking a dynamic look at exactly how we're going to support our sales team members. If we look at a sales manager, they see sales as a linear, one-dimensional thing, which is absolutely crazy, because you can't do that any longer. Sales need to be seen as dynamic and approached from an integrative process or integrative perspective. Now think about that. In the good old days, we used to look at transactions and we would say, well, how can we close transactions so that we can achieve sales quotas? Whereas now, as sales leaders, we need to think of every single customer's dynamic. We need to think of looking at ways, how can we become an additional resource? In other words, how can our team, our organization become an additional resource so that they can actually integrate into their business so that they actually become, in other words, so that our customers actually start to depend on us. They start to say, well, wow, how can we ever replace them? They are such an integral, important part of our business. Again, we look at sales managers. Sales teams' efforts are managed from a distance. In other words, there's an inquisition. It's a case of, this is your sales quota, go out there and go do it. Versus sales leader, where it's actually not just the sales leadership that helps, but it's an integrative, supportive process where the team and the sales leader acting a supportive role, and they ask, how can we help and support each other? How can we work as a team to optimize the way that we operate? Then we have a look at sales managers, look at problems and feedback they're addressed when they arise. Well, think about that. You're working in a dynamic market where things are constantly changing, and you want to work on addressing things when they come up. Well, a real sales leader supports throughout the sales process. In other words, what they do is they provide consistent feedback. They provide real, meaningful support all the time, and they're proactively anticipating challenges that could arise. So let's quickly just shoot through and let's just revise the concept of becoming a true sales leader. So sales leaders, the targets are broken back into projects. So let's think about that in dynamic terms. If you throw a sales quota at a sales rep and say, go and do it, versus sitting with your team and actually looking and saying, okay, so in order for us to achieve a specific outcome, we understand that we need to have, or we need to be feeding our sales pipeline with the right amount of leads. In other words, the right amount of qualified leads. And remember, when we talk in the right amount of qualified leads, what we're actually saying is these are specifically targeted leads, specifically targeted future customers, that what we're looking at saying is these people, we're going to focus all of our energy on them. We're going to make sure that we support them from every possible angle so that we can help our salespeople to integrate into those customers' businesses. We can communicate with them on a very in-depth level. Why? Because we've targeted just 50 customers. We can research them in depth. We can get to know those customers in depth. We can support our sales team to actually become completely targeted towards each specific customer. The next thing we look at is we need to coach and support our sales team to achieve milestones. Now, remember, success begets success. In other words, as we support our sales team and they achieve various milestones, now how do we support them to achieve those milestones? Well, think about it. We're coaching individual daily sales activity, which helps to support each sale, each lead to move through our sales pipeline. When we get to the sales pipeline discussion just now, you'll understand that when you have a predictable sales process or a way of guiding sales, in other words, a step-by-step process, a step-by-step outline of the daily activities that your sales team needs to perform to move each lead through your sales pipeline, it becomes obvious that sales are going to move and you're actually going to help your team to achieve milestones. As I said before, success begets success. As your sales team feels the success of each small milestone rather than a massive quota where they feel completely overwhelmed, these individual small milestones make it so much easier for your sales team to achieve the outcomes that they want. Next, we got individual projects supported according to their unique needs. Like I said before, the sales cycle or the business cycle has got shorter and shorter and shorter. So we need to be dynamic. We need to have a look and manage each individual project in a dynamic way, in an engaging way, so that when things change, we're able to move, we're able to be agile and actually adapt to the changes. We need to have a look at an integrative approach. In other words, let's no longer only think about forming relationships with our customers, but we need to be asking a better quality question. Remember, the quality of your questions leads to the quality of your outcomes. So we need to be asking a better quality question, and rather than saying, how can we merely build a relationship with customers, we need to ask a better question and say, what can we do to integrate, become something that our customers really depend on, so that we can become a partner with them. In other words, we're going to use words where we're going to look at partnering with our customers rather than only forming relationships with them. Sales team is supported and coached every step of the way. Now, remember, if you want to be a true sales leader doesn't sit and say, tell me what's happening. They rather say, what can we do? How can I support you? What resources? What do you need from my perspective as a leader to help you and support you to perform the right sales activities on a daily basis? Now think about it. If I'm chopping down a tree, and every single day I walk outside with a sharpened axe and I chop that tree 5 times. In other words, my sales team performs the right activities every single day, which I guide and support. Eventually, no matter how big that tree is, I'm going to chop it down with that axe. And exactly the same thing's true about your sales team's sales targets, or should I say sales quotas. Let's stop looking at them as an overall big picture, and let's rather focus on supporting and coaching them to perform individual activities that are going to drive, or should I rather say, improve the velocity of each sale or each lead moving through your sales pipeline. We want to make sure that we offer support throughout the sales process. Now remember, as you know, I mean, you've probably been in sales yourself. Getting up, staying inspired, keeping yourself motivated as a sales professional on a daily basis is not easy. So what we need to do as a sales leaders, we need to understand that. And we need to say, okay, so what do we need to do? What can we do to support our sales team, to encourage our sales team, to engage with our sales team, to coach our sales team, to support them, to consistently keep performing those daily activities, those crucial sales activities that is actually going to drive us each sale through our sales, well, into our sales pipeline and through our sales funnel. Cool. Well, let's have a look. You guys are doing really great. And what I want you to do is I want you to just focus and start thinking about your style of leading your team. Are you engaging in management, or are you sincerely looking and supporting and coaching your team and helping your team to achieve the various milestones? All right, so let's have a look at sales managers versus sales leaders. So let's have a look at how sales managers evaluate their sales teams. So let's have a look at sales evaluation. Unfortunately, it's like a weekly inquisition on performance. So hold a sales meeting, and your team's brought in and unbelievably put under pressure. Like, what is happening? Which doesn't help at all, because what it does is it just forces your team to feel under pressure. Versus a real sales leader, they use real-time sales data on individual projects, and they ask a better quality question. So when you hold a weekly inquisition, it's like, what is going on? Why haven't you performed? Versus sales leader is rather saying, okay, so we understand that we've got various sales leads within our sales pipeline that are at various levels through moving through our sales funnel. The question to be asked is not what's happening, but what do we need to do? What other daily activity, what other thing can we do? How can we add value to a specific customer so that we can help them to move down through their individual sales or move them through our sales funnel? Well, the sales approach of a sales manager is one size fits all. In other words, every single salesperson is treated in the same way. Every single sale is treated in the same way. And the expectation is, well, when are you closing the deal? Versus a sales leader who takes an agile, flexible approach to each project and sales professional. Because as you know, people are different. There's different personality types. So when you're dealing with your sales team, each team needs specific support, needs to be coached and led in a specific way. Each deal is different. There's different personality types within your customers. There's different types of needs at customers. So we need to have an agile, flexible approach to each project. Note, a project is a specific lead that's coming into our sales pipeline. And the question we're asking is, how do we improve the velocity of that deal through our sales pipeline? In other words, taking it through each individual step of our sales process so that we can effectively close every single deal. Well, as far as support goes, well, there's inquiry and chastising. That's what sales managers do. It's kind of, weekly inquisition, what's up, and why aren't you getting it right? And then, of course, sales leaders offer consistent feedback and coaching support. In other words, guys, this is where the deal is. This is where we've got sticking points. So what activity, what action do we need to take to support this or to help this deal to move through our sales pipeline? Okay, brilliant. Well, it's time now for us to dig a little bit deeper and get a better understanding of how to become a more powerful sales leader. So just for a second, just have a look at the table that's on the slide in front of you. What we're going to do now is we're going to individually unpack each one and have a look at how you can optimize and become a better sales leader. So first of all, let's have a look and let's compare a sales manager to a sales leader. First of all, sales managers focus on sales objectives and sales goals. Well, yeah, that worked in the old days, and you could have a look and individually give your sales team quotas. But how much more powerful is it when you focus on supporting the right daily sales activity? Because remember, let's go right back and say, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time. And that's what you really need to be supporting your sales team to be doing, is performing the right daily sales activities that are going to drive the sales success that you want and you expect. So stop looking at the big picture all the time and having these ridiculous weekly inquisitions. Rather focus on supporting your team to perform the right daily sales activities. Next, if we look at a sales managers look at weekly sales objectives. In other words, they review the sales objectives on a weekly basis, and it becomes an inquisition, and it's kind of, what have you done? Rather than, how can I help you to do it better? A true sales leader has a daily huddle which supports and highlights daily sales activity. Now, just to really exemplify this, is one of the sales leaders that we worked with in the past. What he did was, on a daily basis, used to get his team together, and they used to do the 30 minutes of onlines, because with our training activity, we don't just do workshop training, but we support the training between workshops with e-learning. What the specific sales leader used to do was, every single morning from 7:15 to 8:15, he'd get the team together, they would sit down and they would go through specific outcomes that they wanted to achieve from the e-learning system. Amazing thing was, over a 5-month period, they achieved a 280% increase in sales. So what you want to be doing is you want to get your team together, and I hear you going, but hold on a second, my team is remote and they live all over the place. Well, technology nowadays kind of removes all those barriers, doesn't it? You could have either a Skype or a FaceTime call where you could include everybody. There's all sorts of other meeting formats like Zoom, etc. GoToMeeting. So what you want to do is you want to create a process, a daily process, where you can create inspiration, encouragement, and coaching for your team literally before they get out there and go to do what they need to do on a daily basis. Sales managers, again, they manage sales objectives. Now think about it. You give somebody a quota, and literally your weekly inquisition is, how are you doing, what's up? Not how can we support this? How can we guide each individual lead? What can I do? What resources? What additional support do you need to help you to actually make this process work? Sales leaders, on the other hand, they ensure a tailored approach towards each individual sales professional's Magnificent 50. In other words, we understand that each customer is different. Each customer's needs are unique. Each approach we need to be taking to a customer needs to be unique. Sounds like a lot of work, but the reality is once you get your systems and processes in place, operating on this level becomes really, really simple. And the amazing thing that you'll start to see is doors start to fly open and sales start to just pour in. Again, sales managers are outcomes driven. In other words, this is your overall quota, go and get it. And I don't care how you do it. Versus a true sales leader is supporting, coaching, guiding daily sales activity. In other words, what they look at doing is they look at establishing a really powerful, predictable sales process. And then once they've got this predictable sales process in place, they then say, okay, so to help our sales team move each individual lead through our predictable sales process, or can I call it our sales funnel, what we got to do is we got to perform individual specific activities that's going to support the velocity or support the speed with which each lead is actually going to move and become a future customer. Again, sales managers have a quota obsession. And obviously they have a quota obsession because that's what's coming from the top. So the top is saying, hey guys, what's happening? The reality is true sales leaders, they work as a team. They get together on a weekly basis and they support each other. They ask questions like, what can we do that our top performers did? What can we learn from our top sales performers? In other words, the team supports the other team members. The sales leaders are asking better quality questions like, what can I do to help and support this process to go forward? Okay, brilliant. Great. So the next thing we want to have a look at is let's have a look and go through the individual steps that you need to do. In other words, you need to become that powerful sales leader and sales coach. So what are you actually going to coach your team to do? Well, the first thing is you want to ensure that every single sales team member has sufficient leads in their sales pipeline so that once they go through the sales funnel, there's sufficient closed deals to help you to achieve your sales target. I mean, that sounds pretty simple, but it astounds me when I go around and I meet with sales leaders and they have no idea whether there's sufficient quality and quantity of leads going into each individual salesperson's sales pipeline, bearing in mind that not every deal that goes into the pipeline at the top is actually going to come out the sales funnel at the bottom. So they've got to understand concepts like closing ratios, etc. Because if they don't understand concepts like closing ratio, well, you can't assume that every deal that goes into your sales pipeline is actually going to come out as a closed deal on the other side. They want to track data in real time. So what you need to do is you need to figure out how can I actually get a deep understanding of what's going on as far as sales is concerned, as far as deals, as far as moving each specific deal through my pipeline, what stage are they at? Because when I've got real-time data, when I go into a coaching session with my sales team, what I'm doing is I'm coaching them on progress. I'm coaching and supporting them to move deals through the pipeline. I'm not inquiring. I have all the information on hand so that when I go into the sales meeting, or should I rather say the sales coaching session, what I'm equipped with is the data that I need, real-time data, to encourage, to support, and to say, okay, so where are these deals sticking? And if deals are sticking at each specific part of our sales process, what can I do to move things forward? What I need to have is I need to consistently have data that is going to help me to understand what needs to be done. In other words, what activities need to be performed on a daily basis to help and support the deal to move through my sales pipeline. Next thing I want to ask is what triggers must be used to move deals through the sales pipeline? And when I'm talking about triggers, well, in the case of my sales pipeline, what we do is we offer free training services. We offer sales teams the opportunity to come to our facility and run their sales meetings where we deliver a really powerful motivational talk to them. We offer opportunity for them to do our online assessment process. We even go to the point where we invite leadership to say, how can we help you to build your sales process? So what we're doing is we need to constantly be asking the question, if a deal is stagnant or stopped, what triggers, what value can we actually add to that deal to actually help it to increase the velocity of the deal through the pipeline? The next thing I want to do is you want to conduct sales funnel coaching sessions once a week. Now, what this effectively is it's a deep understanding. Remember, we've got real-time data. So before we go into the coaching session, we have an understanding what deals are in the pipeline, what's actually happening, what's working, what's not working. And the next thing that we need to do is we need to say, what do we need to help, support, what resources do we need to add to effectively help you to improve, to optimize the velocity or the speed with which each deal moves from going into your pipeline as a qualified deal to popping out the bottom as a completely closed deal. In other words, one where you've now not closed the transaction, but you've effectively figured out how can we integrate into this customer's business and how can we become an additional resource to them. We want to explore new opportunities and their viability. So before we're going to slap something in to our Magnificent 50, well, one of the things we need to do is we need to support our team. First of all, we've got to be crystal clear on exactly what our perfect customer looks like. What does our tribe look like? Where do we find them? And then we need to figure out, okay, so how do we qualify those specific customers only? And how do we support our team? Because remember, if our team is chasing after the wrong future customers or they're chasing after the wrong leads, what's going to happen? Well, they're going to waste time. So it takes as much time to pursue the wrong lead as it does to actively work on engaging with the right one. Well, you know, all of this stuff sounds pretty much like the sales leadership is doing everything. Well, no, the sales leadership is just encouraging. Sales leadership is supporting. Sales leadership is guiding, engaging. But ultimately, the real ownership of each sales funnel rests in the hand of the individual sales professional. Okay, great, fantastic. Okay, so now what we're going to have a look at is we're going to have a look at starting to interpret and, should I say, develop our sales pipeline, or said differently, a predictable sales process that our sales team can actually follow to achieve the sales outcomes they want. Now, what a sales funnel really needs to do is simply four major things. It needs to help your specific sales professionals to, first of all, connect with their customers. Secondly, to discover what their specific needs are. Thirdly, to demonstrate or show them how you can connect your value proposition with exactly what the customer needs, each specific customer. And then finally, it needs to say, okay, so what do I need to do to close a sale? So if we have a look at this specific sales funnel, which is just an odd one that I've just made up, just to give you an indication, an idea of what you need to do to create your own sales funnel or predictable sales process. Remember, and it's very, very important that you know this, guys, each organization, each specific business needs their own process, their own predictable sales process to actually help them, because everybody's business is different. So let's have a look. Let's go and have a look now and quickly explore my predictable sales process. So how do I actually guide my specific future customers? How do I bring them on board, and how do I finally turn them into customers? So let's have a look at that. So here we go. First and most important thing obviously is, remember I said to you, it's connect, discover, show, and close. So let's have a look at how we connect. So the first thing we need to do is we need to understand who is our specific customer, who's our tribe, in other words, who needs exactly what we have to sell. And the next thing is, once we've qualified them, in other words, we've brought them in as our magnificent 50, we've focused, we know that these are the perfect customers from us, or the perfect customers for our business. The next thing that we need to do is not rush off and try and get an appointment, in other words, cold call, but we need to start creating content. We need to create a multi-channel communication strategy, which starts off with creating awareness. For example, the way we would create awareness is we would look at connecting with that specific customer on LinkedIn, for example. Once we connect, or should I rather say, when we connect, we don't have any secrets about our reason for wanting to connect. We tell them we're a sales training organization and we'd like to connect with them because we can offer them value. In other words, we can support their sales team to optimize their sales performance and results. Then we follow through and we keep using content to add value. In other words, to consistently show them how we can support them to grow, to improve, to optimize their sales team's performance, both their sales team and their sales leadership team. Once we do that, we keep moving through the process, and it's almost a natural progression where we arrange to meet with that specific customer, because we need to sit in front of, opposite a customer, to really engage with them and to get into understanding. You see, the first thing, remember I said to you, it's connect, discover, show, and close. So we've connected with our customer. We've now arranged our first meeting. At our first meeting, what we're looking at doing is asking a whole lot of empowering questions, because I need to know. Remember, each customer's unique needs are different. Each customer might need different support. So what we have to do is we need to probe, we need to ask, we need to uncover, we need to engage, so that when we prepare, because the next step is we never leave a meeting. So we've arranged our first meeting, but we never leave a meeting without having arranged a purpose, a reason to meet again. So we then would leave the meeting, and we would arrange a 10, 15 or 20 minute meeting in the future to come and actually show them our proposal. In other words, to explain the proposal. We're keeping the momentum going. In other words, we're staying in contact with the customer as much as possible. Once we've had our discovery meeting, we go and we present our proposal. We don't then get on the phone and go, "Hi, I dropped off a proposal a week ago. Have you got an answer?" That's irritation. What we need to do is we need to consistently keep adding value in the form of e-signs or e-books, showing these people the quality of the work that we can actually deliver. The next thing that we need to do is we need to help them, support them to move through the sales pipeline by creating triggers, or should I rather say by adding value. The way that we do that is, the first thing that we do is we connect with the leaders and we say to them, "Okay, great, so you're not ready to move forward. Well, how about you come across to our venue?" We have a venue where we have a conference facility. Come to our conference facility, hold one of your sales meetings. Oh, and by the way, while you're there, one of our trainers will actually come and deliver a empowering motivational talk to your sales team. So it shows, first of all, it does two things. It connects, engages the customer. It adds meaningful value, yet at the same time, it's actually demonstrating what we can actually do. Well, before we leave that meeting, in other words, if we haven't closed the deal at that stage, the next thing that we do is we say, "Okay, guys, well, what we'd like to do is we'd like to do a free online assessment for your team where we can support them. We can actually create, what this online assessment does is it creates a coaching document." Hold on a second. Remember, leaders are coaches. So ultimately what we're saying is we want to help you, support you to individually know how to guide and encourage and coach each individual salesperson to move them to the next level. Well, it does two things. One, it helps us get an understanding of who's the sales team that we're going to be dealing with in the future, but it also shows value. It also shows that we're not just there to stick our hand into somebody's pocket, but we're actually there to engage, to support. And if we don't close at that meeting, we don't leave that meeting without having arranged an opportunity for the next meeting. And at the next meeting, what we do is we sit down and we support the sales leadership to actually create a workable, predictable sales process. In other words, what we do is we sit with the leadership and we guide them to build their own predictable sales process. Well, it does two things. One, it shows the leadership what we can do. Two, we get to spend time and invest time with the sales leadership to actually show them, hey guys, we can actually do what we say we're going to do in the future. Well, this is actually a process that we would have needed to engage with anyway, but what it's doing is it's showing value all the time, so we're remaining connected with our customers. And then finally, we hope at this point that they've really seen what we can do, how we can do it, and the next step is, boom, take action and buy. Great. So let's take the next look. And what I want you to do now is, I want you as a sales leader to understand what actually needs to be measured. What do we need to know about what's going on with our specific sales team members so that we can support them and guide them to move each deal through their sales funnel? The first thing, obviously, is there's got to be enough deals in the sales pipeline. If you don't have enough deals in the sales pipeline, you're naked. Well, like I said previously, it amazes me how often I meet sales leaders, and because they're so engaged in an inquisition, it's like, what's happening? So they're looking at outcomes. In other words, they look at what's coming out the sales funnel. They're not watching to see what's going into the sales funnel. Because if you haven't got enough deals going in the top, obviously you're not going to have enough deals coming out the bottom. Next, we want to have a look at the velocity or the speed that each deal moves through the sales funnel. We need to know, what is the average? What can we expect? Because if we wouldn't know whether a deal is moving too slowly through the sales funnel if we don't know what the average is. So we need to have an understanding, what's the average? And if a deal's taking too long, the next question we want to be asking is what is the average size of a deal? So how do we get an understanding? Because if we don't know what the average size of a deal is, we're not going to know what the number of deals we need to put into the sales funnel are. And this is a very important one. How many deals are there at each stage? Because when we understand where each deal is, the next thing we can do when we're supporting and coaching our sales team is we can help them, and we can say, well, hang on a second, we see you're very good at getting meetings. So you're running your discovery meetings, you're definitely going and delivering those proposals, and then everything falls flat. Well, then we need to say, okay, hold on a second. What actions do we need to take to encourage the deal to move through the sales pipeline? Well, we've got to figure out, how can we connect with those leaders and actually show them or engage with them so that they want us to have their sales meeting, deliver our assessment process, work with the leadership to actually build their predictable sales process. So we need to say, at what point is our deal sticking? And then the next question we want to ask is, what do we need to do to move the deal through each stage? So we need to know where the deals are. Why do we need to know where they are? So that we can figure out why they're sticking and why aren't they moving through the sales pipeline. So obviously part of that is we need to have an understanding of how long has each deal been stuck at each stage. Because remember, we know what the average time is that a deal should take to go through our sales pipeline or through our sales funnel. We also need to know how many deals there are at each stage, but we want to know also, how long should a deal stay at each stage on average before it moves through? And the most important question is, what daily action, what daily sales activity do our sales team members to perform or need to perform to move this deal through the sales funnel? Because that's the ultimate question, isn't it? What do we need to do Because if it's sticking, what do we need to do? What daily action? In other words, when we're conducting our weekly sales coaching meetings, we've got to be asking the question. Remember, we've got real-time data, so we know where the deals are. We're not going in and inquiring about what's happening. We're going in and supporting activity, supporting the progress of each deal through the sales funnel. Well, finally, we need to know what their closing ratio or their win rate is. Because remember, if you don't know what their closing ratio is, you're not going to know how many deals they're going to have to put into the top of the sales pipeline to get it to go through the sales funnel so that you can have sufficient deals popping out the bottom that's going to help you to achieve your sales quota. Now remember, you're not worrying about sales quotas, you're worrying about, or should I rather say, you're engaging and supporting your sales team to perform the right daily activities to promote the movement of leads or deals through your sales funnel so that at the bottom is going to pop sufficient deals to achieve your sales quota.